live.
Hello, my friends.
Hey, guys.
And Leandra,
Yeah.
coming to you live from Yorba, California. This is part 2 of my wrap-up on Tuesday's school board meeting. It just got lucky enough that Leandra is available because I had a few questions for you about what happened on Tuesday. It was wild. It was wild. It took me a little bit back to COVID days, where we had a whole bunch of people outside and they couldn't get in. But it was like turned around. At COVID days, it was parents that were upset. And now you have people that are upset about something made up.
Right.
It isn't entirely made up. And so I'm going to get to that. But I want to address something early on this broadcast, because I talked about a whole bunch of things on the last one that, sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this thing that popped up, but there it goes. I just want to remind the people, and I just want you to hear this in case you didn't see the first one. And this is that the shared psychosis is actually a medical condition where people internalize a false belief or delusion originally held by someone close to them, such as a family member, partner, or friend. That includes social media. In this scenario, the inducer, which is the people bringing up the lie, it transmits their delusion to the recipient, who comes to believe it as absolute truth, integrating it into their own identity and worldwide and worldview, despite evidence to the contrary. And that's important because I have given evidence to the contrary, and they just don't care. This often occurs in isolated or codependent relationships where the recipient is suggestible, children, dependent, children, or psychologically vulnerable, which is also in many cases children. So what we saw on Tuesday was a bunch of younger people. I think many of them were from colleges from around our community that were pushed into this situation. They were given probably credit, some type of extra credit towards whatever class they're in. And so we had all these people show up. And one particular point you brought up, I'm not going to kind of rehash everything I talked about in the first show, but I did briefly bring up this idea that we had a bunch of people there, overwhelming number of people who were yelling about something that isn't happening.
Right.
It hasn't happened in the United States anywhere. It's not happening in our district, and it's not going to happen in the future.
Right.
I with 100%, you can come after me if it ever does happen, but it's not. Number one reason, DHS has a policy that requires a judicial warrant for accessing private public schools in areas like classrooms as absent exigent circumstances. No such warrants or entries have been reported in enforcement actions targeting students. So this, again, they're screaming. We had people that were shaking and crying. We had counselors. We had this gentleman. Let me just play this one video. We had this gentleman that came on.
My name's Al Judd. I'm a father of a kid that goes to El Dorado, and I'm here to talk to you. This ICE is not legitimate law enforcement. They are not here to enforce laws. They are under a directive from Stephen Miller, the Deputy White House Chief of Staff, which is part of the Heritage Foundation Project 2025 mandate. They are not accountable. They have no identification, and they're recruited from the same alt-right militias that you spent January 6th with at our nation's capital. They're the same people.
Excuse me, we want to be able to hear. Please keep it down.
And you are intending to infiltrate our schools with those agents to destroy these minority kids? Are you out of your mind? We will not tolerate, I will not tolerate, I will fight to defend and support this Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And you are a subversive domestic enemy of our country. And I will not tolerate it. You can sit there with that silly little smirk on your face all night long. These kids are giving you Martin Luther King energy right now. That Malcolm energy is coming.
Next.
So I wanted to show that again, just because that's the kind of the feeling that was coming from these people that have this syndrome. Again, I'm not a doctor, but telling you, everything he said is a lie. They have every law enforcement officer has ID on them. They are law enforcement officers. They're federal law enforcement officers, which have greater powers than even local law enforcement because they cover all the United States and its other territories. And law enforcement just is in the state. So it's just so crazy. You brought up at one point, because Quintero, I think it was, wanted to strike state and federal out of there.
Right.
And you brought up, well, what happens if there's something where the federal agencies are required on campus? You're going to now have these secretaries and whoever else is at the front counter, a kid say, no, you can't come on because we have a policy or resolution that says that I'm not supposed to allow you on this campus. And you brought up kidnapping. And so I wanted to point out that, again, I just so you understand this, is that there's nothing in regard to anything these people brought up, that gentleman brought up, that is happening, that you didn't encourage it. It's not in the resolution. It's not in the policy, but they're fomenting this idea that this is something that actually exists. And then you brought up kidnapping, and they scoffed at it like, oh, a kidnapping's not going to happen on a campus. Well, I just wanted to bring this to your attention, just so you know, kidnappings from public schools, stranger abductions numbering around 100 to 115 annually, stranger abductions, not family.
Right, not family.
Because that's usually where people go.
Right.
Annual across the entire country. Attempted abductions, 32%, involve children going to or from school or school-related activities, based on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and FBI reports of 16,122 attempts.
Right.
That they scoff at.
Yep.
Families abductions occur more frequently, overall estimated 200,000 annually. That's 200,000 a year.
Yes.
And don't look at that as like, that's not a big deal, but you have many parents who have lost custody of their kids, and the courts have found they're not supposed to be around their kids because they've either hurt them, they've molested them, or there's some other situation where, and you don't want them having them either. And what they usually do is take them across state lines or into another country. And of course, that becomes to be a federal thing.
Right.
So they don't want federal agents for something just simply as kidnappings. We can also add bomb threats, bombs, which is ATF.
Yes.
We have
DEA, drugs.
We have drugs. We have all these situations. And here's genius Quintero and the other two, and the superintendent, apparently, because she was all along with them during this whole thing, thinking, yeah, we shouldn't have federal agencies on our campus for any reason.
Well, this is the thing that I continue to say, and I've always, and I think we said on the show, the lies are always going to come out. It's going to come out. I said when I first brought the resolution forward, I said the state is telling us that we have to restructure, we have to redo our immigration policy. So all of this was coming from the state. And so just due to the fact of what was happening in our classrooms with the hate towards law enforcement, this is not in every single classroom, but this is in some classrooms. We had a lot of complaints. We had teachers saying that they didn't appreciate other teachers, what they were saying in the classrooms. We had all these things. And so when I said, let's do the resolution to support and to cooperate with law enforcement, it wasn't because I was just trying to pull something controversial out. I mean, we should support and cooperate with law enforcement. It was because we actually had people going online saying, if these people come onto our campus, I'm going to obstruct them, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And they're telling these kids to do it. And that is just a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
And so that was what the whole thing was like. We're going to be leaders and say, we're going to support, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then we're going to stop the toxic conversations in the classroom about our law enforcement officers, because the main goal is to keep everybody safe.
Yep.
And so when they're sitting there and when the resolution comes across, obviously the board policy went silent. I had to read it because they weren't going to put it up. Did you notice I said, please put it up, and they refused to put it up?
That was my favorite part of the meeting. By the way.
They didn't want to put it up because they don't want the community to know what this actually said. The place went dead silent when they found that ICE,
the same thing.
ICE is still allowed on our campuses if they have a judicial warrant, subpoena, whatever. The whole place just went quiet.
Wait,
what?
This is one of the, and back to the syndrome, is that they came in there believing that it said this nonsense.
Yes.
They said that you wanted ICE to come on and pull kids out of classrooms by there, that you wanted that.
Yes.
And that's what this resolution said.
Yes.
And then when you read it, they just went,
wait, what?
I wanted to look at a couple people and go, hey, I thought you told me that she wanted ICE to come on and pull kids out by the hair.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, the silence, and then people actually got up and left. And then people said outside as I was reading it, because, Carrie Buck got really upset that I was reading this.
She did not want you to read it.
She did not want me to read it. They did not want this to be put up, because what they want to do is they just want to say, oh, well, I think this line is okay, or I think this and that. They don't want the whole thing to be read, because they know that once the community saw the policy, and that is where the superintendent has absolutely failed our community.
Absolutely.
absolutely lack of leadership and failed our community, because once all of this started, she should have gotten on and she should have released the new policy that was going to be on the board agenda, because I saw it on Monday.
Right.
You know, I knew it was the week before, I knew it was coming, but I saw pretty much the finalized product on Monday. She should have released it and said, no, this is coming from the state. There's a small tweak that will change, you know, what our policy is, but it doesn't have anything to do with how law enforcement comes onto our campus. It's going to be the same thing. And that would have stopped everything. And then also too about the law enforcement, the bogus stop that Yorba Linda Moms put out as was ICE stop, which it wasn't, as Anaheim PD. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm just.
Oh man.
You know, why don't we create a policy that says Godzilla is not allowed on our campus?
Perfect.
And then they'll say, well, how is that? I've seen movies. I have more proof that Godzilla has crushed schools than ICE has come onto any campus in Denver.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Well, and then that was when I asked, I said, how many federal law enforcement officers have come onto our campus? And they said 0. And so that could have gone in the email. But that's the thing too, is I don't know if it was just her attempt to just whatever the whole thing, or if the board majority, since they're behind the PYLUSD and Yorba Linda Moms, and they have all these connections with the private peer and all of these Democrat socialist parties that were coming and were actually partnering with these kids and these adults for these walkouts. I don't know if they were just saying, no, don't put it out, but it's just insane.
They couldn't put it out because then it may have cost them the walkout.
Kids wouldn't have walked out. Everything would have gone around fine. And people would have said, oh, this is just a new immigration policy. And what's the harm?
That's required by the state.
That's required by the state. And what's the harm of supporting and cooperating with law enforcement?
Right.
It's just, we live in insane times. And these three, I mean, I'm sorry, I sit here.
4. There's 4. I say 4.
Well, you know, that's the thing. You know, me and Todd talked about last night. This was a complete lack of leadership.
It is.
It is, because if you're not telling your parents in your school and everyone is up in arms. I mean, let's be real. How many people, there was 8 different Democrat socialist groups that came. Cal State Fullerton. You had the Party for, you know, Democrat or Socialism and Liberation. You had all these things, like literally they would come up and say, I'm from this Democrat party. I'm from Pride of the Peer. I'm from this. And like, I was like looking them up to see if they were actually a legit organization. And a lot of them were, but a lot of them had nothing to do with our community. They didn't live here. You know, they had traveled because the all call went out.
Right.
And then they just want to sit there and lambast. But it was so great, because if it was me, if I was Carrie Tricia in Maryland, I would have said the truth right then, because you know it's going to come out.
Right.
And you're going to look as stupid as you do today.
Right. So in the end, just on the law enforcement aspect of it, is that the policy went through as written. Because I love seeing these Instagram posts and these news articles from these left-leaning publications that said that there's victory. Yeah. And I go, what did they miss? At 5-0, it passed.
Yeah. 5-0 board policy passed. And then like Jason Kraft, who is on Brea Buzz, and he'll delete you if you have any opinion that's different than him. He's on the PYL Buzz also. He's trying to spin it that that we're not the whole part in there where it says that the teacher's obstructing. So on the board policy, which actually is aligned with the state, this is the resolution, but the one that's actually aligned with the state, that wasn't taken out. The attorney's sitting there and like, how much money do we pay this attorney? And he's this like very good attorney. Tony DeMarco is so good. But you have Carrie, Marilyn, and Tricia going, well, we don't want this to be in there. And he's like, well, you really are going to like have some liability if you have these teachers obstructing. So they kept it in the policy, but when it came to the resolution, they wanted to keep it out. And so they're saying, oh, well, they can't do that. Well, no. They took it out of the resolution, but they kept it in the policy.
These people are geniuses.
Like, yeah. And so they're trying, and that's how you know, like Esther Kim's trying to get on all these websites and like put all these, like try to put hit pieces on me, and they're just like laughing at her. And then you have all these people saying, oh, it's not. Carrie Buck put this immigration policy. No, she did not. It was mandated by the state to put it on. Like, so they're trying to salvage this whole thing, and it's not salvageable.
No.
Like, you have been caught. You look like idiots, and we have nothing else to say.
What about the kid that got stopped on his bicycle
Oh
by
my
ice? Well,
gosh.
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
What about the kid who got bit by Anaheim police in ice? Well, it wasn't ice; it was Anaheim.
It was
police.
Anaheim Police Department.
What about the guy that came into Placentia and ran into the neighborhood? He ended up he was being chased by ice from Anaheim. He killed a man with his car, ran into him and killed an elderly man in the city of Placentia, and ran into the neighborhood with a gun.
Right.
And I saw this woman's post that I talked about a couple shows ago. Maybe did we do this together? I can't remember. I might have gone on my own. That was screaming that the school wasn't notified when this was happening. And I think that, so you want the police officer running after this guy with a gun and stop and call the school and not continue to catch this guy? If the school was that close to where this occurred, because that was the whole thought process, that it happened to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a school, is that you don't take the time to get on the phone and call me. I want you to catch the guy.
Right. Well, the thing too is so I actually watched the city council meeting in Fullerton, and the city council, you had all these yahoos coming and saying, "Oh my gosh, it was right next to the school." It was like 6:30 in the morning when this whole thing went down. Yeah. And so they were like, "Well, the schools were notified, the district was notified," and so the city council actually went against. So the city council backed up the police, and they were like, "No. We're going to catch these guys. No, we're not doing this." And I was actually very proud of I think it was Fullerton City Council.
Wow, that's good.
It was great. But, the same thing is you have the Yorba moms and the PYLUSD who are proxies for the Democrat Party and the teachers union. You have them coming out and saying that this kid from El Dorado was chased. Okay. And again, why were you running? That's our first question. Why were you running?
It was a gang
member. Then you find out that he's deep in the heart of Anaheim.
That's not a kid, it was an adult.
It was an adult. He's deep in the heart of Anaheim. He's riding his bike in and out of traffic. He's causing a traffic issue. He's got gang paraphernalia on his backpack. The gang unit happens to be across the street. They pull him over. He runs. They chase him. He fights with the police. He goes to jail. It's not rocket science, but then you have Yorba moms and PYLUSD trying to make it seem like ICE chased him from the school and beat him up and did whatever. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. So this whole week, it's like crazy. Fraud. We need to call Nick Shirley.
Yeah. I spoke to the public information officer, Sergeant Sutter, and he read the report to me. There's nothing in there about ICE. There's it had nothing to do with immigration. So I just want to make sure and add that in case there's somebody that missed my earlier reports on that. So it is, I heard again from the chief of police with Placentia. He said this didn't happen in Placentia, and that's what led me to call Anaheim Police Department.
Right. I mean, and you're frantically, and not frantically, but you're calling around to every other police department. Yeah. I mean, trying to figure out where the heck would this possibly happen, and everyone's saying, "No, this didn't happen."
Right. And this person said that she had a report.
Yeah.
If she had the report, she would have seen that it didn't happen, but yet she continued with the lie. And then it turns out she only has a citation, which is blurred out. You can't even see anything on it, but it has the charge on it. It has that it's a misdemeanor. It had the police report number on there.
Anaheim Police. Nice.
It says Anaheim Police on there. So sorry, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but it's important for everyone to understand what we're dealing with here. And I'm not dealing it like you are. I get the backlash, not as bad as you, but I do get the backlash from telling the truth and bringing you facts. That's the important thing. I understand. I heard somebody said that I'm getting sued or something like that. I'll wait for that. But
getting sued for what?
For telling, you can't tell the truth. You can't. You can't point out that something's a lie.
So someone could go on other social media sites and say all kinds of nonsense, but when you come out and just talk about facts and talk about what they posted and fact check it.
Yeah,
that's a suable offense.
I guess that's what I was told. I mean, I was told I was going to be sued.
It's interesting.
Said, okay. How many times have we heard that? So in the end, just on that area of law enforcement, everything went through. It was a 5-0 vote. 5-0 vote, which means all five, including the three people.
So 5-0 vote on policy, and then we get into the resolution. And so actually they violated Robert's rules of order. And I think the attorney probably felt me and Todd's pain after having to deal with the next part, because I bring forward, you're supposed to put on the agenda 10 days before. So I wrote the resolution, I submitted it. And then, so of course they try to say, oh, we have an amended thing. They're trying to claim my resolution as their own resolution. And so as they're passing it down, it's my resolution. But they've just crossed out, they crossed out state and federal. Well, you have it up. They crossed out state and federal law enforcement. They crossed out, what is the, yeah, so they crossed out are charged with enforcing federal, state, and local law and protecting national security. They crossed out the fear, whereas harassment, misinformation, fear-based narratives directed at law enforcement. They're crossing out all of the things that are happening with some of the teachers in our district and our classrooms and in the public. They crossed out all of that. They crossed out that the district staff shall not obstruct. They crossed that out, even though it's in the policy. And then they crossed out that the places for education, not political activism. They crossed out everything that gives these teachers the right to further have politics in their classroom and demonize law enforcement.
But these are the same people that for years now, during COVID and then since then and then now, that they're the people that come to the podium and yell about keeping politics out of the schools.
Yes.
They just don't want, they want their politics, but not anybody else's politics. It's much like being in Yorba Linda Moms. As long as you agree with everything that it's said in there in regards to progressive movements and liberal movements and Democrats,
right,
that's fine. And that's not political.
Right.
But if you come on and say, wait a minute, if I, if you were on there and would have said, hey, that didn't happen, that kid, chased by ICE, that didn't happen, you'd be kicked off.
Oh yeah. I've been kicked off for saying something didn't happen.
My wife was kicked off and she didn't say anything. She didn't even know she was a member, but she got kicked off.
There's a lot of people who've been kicked off just for hitting like on a post I do.
So they scream about this not being it, but yet when we have a resolution that says, hey, let's just get back to teaching.
Yes.
They screamed about that. That can't be on there.
Yeah. That's
ridiculous. Like, why would we put that in there?
Yep.
And yet that's the thing they've been screaming about, that we don't want that. So that just tells you the nonsense that this is an educational focused superintendent and school board, that those four together still have no interest in education.
It's really, really sad because as like, I think I've posted in here, I posted in my thing, there's a lot of people, I'm not even posting it. Like, I think people think Trisha Quintero is the most absurd person they've ever seen, because I'm getting these clips that they're clipping of Trisha speaking. And she's sitting here saying, well, how can you bring politics in the boardroom, but they can't have it in the class, teachers can't have it in the classroom. Yeah. What? And then she says, well, we're employees of the school district. Well, no, we're not. You cannot be like, if I was an employee of the school district and I ran for school board and I won, I'd have to quit my job as that, because you can't do the two. And so I finally realized, because the second meeting I've had to tell her, you're not an employee of the school district. And then when she said, oh, well, the coaches have stipends, are they not employees? It's like, oh my gosh, did they have an election? Did the union give them thousands of dollars to try to win an election, Trisha? Right. But I think that's her whole mentality, is she doesn't realize that she is an elected official. And I think she's missed the whole point. Elected officials are supposed to represent the community and your constituents. She is representing the district, just as Carrie, just as Marilyn, just as Trisha. They represent the district and what they want, those interests. To hell with the community, to hell with the people that want anything different. Whatever the district wants, that's what's going to happen. The
whole idea of the school board in its original thought of what it was going to be, it was to put like some guards so that the district wasn't doing things that would be against what parents wanted.
Right.
And so the idea was that parents would run for the school board to oversee what was happening in the district.
Right.
But what you're saying is now these three have now become part of the district in their minds. She really thinks she's an employee.
Yeah.
And her job is to do things that the teachers union, which is taking over the district, wants, as opposed to what parents want and need.
Right.
Wow.
And so I think too, that was bizarre. That was just absolutely bizarre. And I think everybody thinks it's pretty bizarre. But another thing is like Marilyn. She's sitting there and, they're trying to take out the federal and the state law enforcement. I mean, at the end of the day, we said law enforcement. We said all law enforcement. So it was a win. Yeah. Like me and Todd won the night. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, you get yelled and screamed and whatever, but we won. Absolutely won. But the thing about it too is Marilyn's sitting there talking about how ICE has terrorized the community. Do you remember this part? Yep. ICE has been terrorizing the community. People are afraid. Da, 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 da. So guess what? You can pick up the phone and call. Yep. I pick up the phone and call myself. Yep. And you know what? City council and police department, ICE has not been terrorizing the community. ICE has not been doing this. And then I said, well, Marilyn is claiming she had to go out to these people and make them not afraid, make them not afraid to take police reports. And they said, Marilyn was an office assistant who scheduled volunteers. So like the teenagers and the chaplains, that was her job. Yeah. Because at first when she was saying this, I was like,
wait a minute.
Was she a police assistant? Because, you have the police assistants who go out and take the not the robberies. So they'll take like the vehicle burglaries and like things like that, where there's like no suspect description. So we have that. So I was saying, well, maybe she was out running around. No, she was in the police department scheduling volunteers. And so they said, no, ICE has not been terrorizing our community, hasn't been terrorizing our community in years.
And ICE has had virtually a zero footprint
in Placentia.
In PYLUSD, which is our focus.
Yes.
Like if you want to talk, people brought up Minnesota. Like, why do I care what's happening in Minnesota other than the normal stuff? Mm-hmm. The focus of PYLUSD is the PYLUSD community. Yes. And ICE has virtually no footprint. Again, I go back to this. I don't even know why we're even here talking about this.
Right. And I think too, where you worked and then where I worked in LA County. Mm-hmm. There's no different. There was people who were afraid because they were illegal or whatever the reasons were. They were afraid to make police reports. That happens everywhere. Yeah. It's not just specific to Placentia, but it's exactly like people have said about Maryland, is that Maryland wants, like Dr. Turnus was big in Placentia. He was trying to get in there and get these kids tutoring and education and stuff like that. Dr. Turnus was teaching these kids how to fish. Marilyn wanted to maintain control and power over them by just giving them the fish. She wants to be, what did the left call it? She wants to be a white savior. That's exactly what she wants to do. Hey, I said it, because that's exactly what this is. She wants people to have to rely on her. She doesn't want people to be independent and have to be able to go out and do and think on their own. Right. And maybe she wants to keep some illegal immigrants in there so they'll vote for her.
Yeah, what do you think of the story that also was in Yorba Linda Moms, that there's this family that's so afraid that they can't come out of their house, and you go, well, you got to ask why. Cool. I mean, I got a whole family that's Mexican, right, that lives in Norwalk, and they seem to find a way to get to the restaurants and the grocery stores. Yes. They're not concerned. They go to Home Depot. First, we have that syndrome that I was talking about, that perhaps, and that's why I want to say I pray for these people. If they feel that way, it's because they've been taught to be scared. This narrative has been pushed on them, and so now they've created this fear. Right. Maryland is one of those people, along with Anderson and Buck, that continually tell people that they are the oppressed. Right. And they're being oppressed by Yorba Linda. Mm-hmm. Or they're being oppressed by law enforcement. Right. And when you continually do that, then there is a chance that there may be a family that doesn't want to leave their house for the grocery store. I go to Northgate Market all the time because of my Hispanic heritage. I love menudo, tamales. I love all the things. And I go there all the time, and I see people walking around. Yeah. They're not like sneaking into the store. They're not crawling between cars to try to sneak in. No. They are flourishing. They're just going about their business. Yeah. And these stories that keep popping up is all to create an image of something that it truly is not happening. Yeah. And Marilyn talking about the things that apparently, based on what you told me about her job, is nonsense. Right. And it's again just to feed to the people that are there, so she can get a couple nods and go, oh, thank you, Marilyn, thank you for all you do, thank you for being in charge of our health, right, thank you for taking care of me. She loves that. She feeds off of it, even though it's a lie. Right. I can't imagine trying to get somebody to follow me or to give me praise, and I would say something like, I can lift 300 pounds. I'm really good at something that I'm not good at, just to get somebody to say, well, thank you for doing that. Right. I know it's a lie. Right. But these people don't care. Yeah. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rampage there, but it just really bothers me. Yeah. People can make the same phone calls we made and call City Hall and call the police department and ask if ICE is, terrorizing people in the streets and, doing all these things that she's claiming. And, it's wild. I mean, that's the thing too, is I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of stories, and there's a lot of she has a lot. She glamorizes a little bit. At
first, the way she's talking, I was like, man, were you an officer? You seem like you were working a beat. No, she was, she was in charge of volunteers.
So I had this idea. I don't think you plugged in the mic, did you? Oh, yeah, you did. Look at you. I had this idea today. I was at the gym and I was, looking at those different posts. And there's a small part of me that thinks that they wanted to put the focus on ICE because of that little paragraph that says there will not be, teachers, pushing their agendas on our kids. I changed the wording, but that's pretty much what it was saying.
Right.
That's the thing they didn't want out. The few smart people that are on the crazy side.
Right.
Really just didn't want that in. And if they could put the focus on ICE and law enforcement, you can make it appear as if, okay, let's just take that out and we'll concentrate on this, which ended up happening.
Yeah.
And there was a small victory so that they could continue to brainwash the kids, harm them mentally, indoctrinate them in this nonsense of socialism and Marxism. And that's the thing that they really didn't want in there.
I think that's what I had said too, was that the focus, because the policy, when it kind of mirrors the policy, because I even had an attorney friend tell me, because I looked at it too, I got curious, I went and looked at it, and it was just like, he goes, it was hand in hand. But I kept saying, this is what they're going to, they do not want that in there because Marilyn, Tricia, and Carrie want politics in the classroom. They want this. Tricia flat out said it. Why can't teachers we should play the clips, but they're in there, and it's actually insane that she wants the politics in classroom, and she thinks that talking about this stuff is politics in the boardroom, whereas she doesn't grasp that. Like, this is you took a political position, and so these are going to be talks, but then this is when you're a teacher in the classroom, it's a little bit different. You don't go talk politics, and you don't give your personal opinions to the students. And even today, somebody messaged me and they said, hey, you got some teachers talking mad trash about you to students. Because so this is just what's going to happen, because now these teachers feel empowered to go and talk and say whatever they want to say now. Look at El Dorado. They had F ICE shirts. They were wearing it around campus. Where's the freaking dress code? They were carrying around F ICE signs at El Dorado. This superintendent has no control and no leadership in this district. I don't care. I have to say it, because allowing it to get here, Chernus would take a stand and he would put out an email and say, hey, no, this is what's been said. This is what's actually happening. But you just let this go, and you let parents, who are impressionable, who maybe aren't all up to date on all of, the happenings and politics, and they start hearing that, kids are ICE is going to go on to, of course they're going to go scream and yell and be crying at a board meeting.
Right.
Because you didn't show leadership and say, this is not happening.
This is one of the situations that, say my kid, which he has a hat that says Make America Great Again. He has a Doge hat, he proudly wears them. Right. But I've never he wants to wear them to school. And I go, I really don't care.
Right.
If you do. I said, but just understand there may be some ramifications. But let's just say a bunch of the kids who had those things on there, and a fight breaks out and they are defending themselves, who's the one who's going to get suspended and kicked out? Right. This is what this is going to be leading to. Talking about that is the next subject I want to talk about, is that, so we still have this walkout scheduled, I guess. They have it scheduled for tomorrow at Yorba Linda High School. And there's one at Esperanza too.
So I heard it's Yorba Linda Esperanza, but then I heard a pro-ICE walkout has now.
Well, that's what I was going to add. So now this is what they're causing to happen.
Yeah.
This is what the superintendent, who I've emailed and warned her several weeks ago. I warned her in a very lengthy email. I know my emails could be long, but I wanted to make sure she had all the information. I said, this is what is this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You are responsible now for what is going to be happening from the kids that are supposed to be in the school that are now outside the school because you didn't do anything about this.
Yeah.
And they're going to get hit by a car, potentially in a cross protest. We've seen what happens in cross protests. We've been in many of these protests.
Yes, we have.
And we see what happens.
Yeah.
So the superintendent, by doing nothing, well, I can't do anything about their First Amendment rights. I said, yeah, but you can keep it in school.
If they're going to walk out, that's fine, but you can tell the parents, notify the parents. This whole thing started because the parents lacked information.
Yeah.
Because they took their stuff from teachers, from social media. I mean, we have teacher spouses who went online and, they're all arguing online about stuff. And they said, my wife is a teacher. And she said that the teachers at these school sites were encouraging people to walk out.
Yeah.
Like you're encouraging truancy. So, I mean, you have all this, and then you have the teachers union president up there. Oh, you're blaming the teachers union. I didn't blame the teachers union. I said PYLUSD is a proxy for the teachers union, which it is.
Absolutely.
Because we have a lot of teachers union leadership in there, retired teachers, and we have them on the Yorba Linda Moms. They are Democrat proxies. Yep. It's not a Yorba Linda Moms page, not a PYLUSD. We're just trying to, service the community with information. No, you're a proxy for the Democrat Party.
So it's scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow, something like that?
I don't even know.
I think it's 10 o'clock.
I don't even know.
It's in the middle of school.
Yeah. Well, and too, like, let's look at the time. It's like everybody says that the time is like, actually, it's always scheduled at the time where supposedly the school is going to get credit for the student being in that seat that day.
So the kids know that?
I don't think the kids know.
My kids wouldn't know. I ask them all the time about when's your class. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even know when their own class starts. They just know the bell rings and they go to the next class.
Yeah.
They don't even pay attention what time. So
gosh.
the kids are not scheduling this based on the fact that the district is going to get money for their attendance.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think this is just I don't know. I think that the El Dorado and I think the El Dorado and Valencia one got a lot of press and a lot of coverage. And so I think that, there was some Yorba Linda high school kids in there, the meeting the other night. So I think they were like, oh, well, we want to get in on this too. So,
yeah. So I'm going to say this. Leandra's not saying this, but I would just suggest you just don't take your kid to school on Saturday. Go to Knott's Berry Farm, go to the beach. If you just don't want to get caught up in the situation and feel peer pressure to go and go out there and don't take them at all. Don't take them out at 10 because you just don't take that.
It's
that's my opinion.
I mean, and this is just the thing is now you have these counter protests. Now you're gonna have kids yelling and screaming at each other. I mean, it's just
then they're gonna go back into school.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what and now too. What is anybody gonna accomplish?
Yeah.
What the policy is there, it's approved. It's state. It's for the state. Like ICE can come on to the federal, state, local law enforcement can come onto the facility if they have a judicial warrant or exigent circumstances, subpoenas. Everything that they're supposed to have, they can come on. As I said it last week, I said it 2 weeks ago, I said nothing is going to change, and it didn't. Yeah. But you're still going to walk out. Why? Why are you walking out? And then they're going to City Hall. Why are you going to City Hall? What are they going to do? There's nobody there. The city council is not there. I mean, maybe Janice Lynn will welcome the anti-ICE protesters. I don't know. But, like, what are you going to do at City Hall?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't think ICE has ever seen Yorba Linda. If you ask an ICE agent, where's Yorba Linda? They go, I don't know. We've never been there.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're hanging out at City Hall. Oh my goodness.
My wife, Hedia, you know her.
Yes, very well.
She was interviewed by Pastor Jack on a Happening Now during service last night. And, she was talking about her experience as being a consultant for the FBI when she was Muslim, and how quickly they've been able to speed up the indoctrination of kids so that they would eventually go to Afghanistan or Iraq and become a jihadi. And when she first started, it was 6 months. Bin Laden was pretty successful, and they thought at that time 6 months was pretty fast to take an American kid that grew up in a decent home, who did not seem to be somebody to be radicalized, but they were able to take those kids and radicalize them fairly quickly. Right. And we can see what's happening here. Yeah. They're being radicalized through teachers and through proxies of the teachers union and in social media. She said that sped up. By the time she was out, it went from 6 months to 6 weeks. And then currently it's about 2 weeks to take a kid who's received lack of education and becomes vulnerable because of this lack of education that they're getting. Again, state of California is 40th and 43rd in some areas as far as education is concerned, and they're ripe for this type of thing. And we're seeing it happen. We saw it happen on Tuesday night. There were a number of kids that are currently at different schools in our district who have been radicalized.
And
she's seen it on a level to where they're so radicalized as young kids, they're willing to eventually go and become a jihadi fighter in Afghanistan and Iraq at the time.
And it's sad. It's so sad because some of what these kids were saying, it was completely untrue.
Yep.
And it didn't make any sense. I don't even know. The only person that I thought like said anything that was factual was the kid who talked about the smoking in El Dorado High School bathroom.
Love that kid.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the one kid who came here with facts.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, ICE is going to kidnap me. ICE is going to come on our campuses. ICE is going to do this. It's like, ICE will only come on. And then that was the thing too, when you have public comment first, which legally you have to do that. But had these people known, we have 0 incidences of ICE or any federal law enforcement on any of our facilities, it could have really calmed down the tone. And so I'm just disappointed. You know, I get really disappointed with a lack of leadership. That's what I get disappointed on.
Well, we have two leaders. We have you and Todd. I just want to, in front of everybody, the millions of people that are watching at this point, that you and Todd were amazing. Todd came in with a very calm voice and just really laid out, you know, the absurdity that they wanted to change the resolution from the policy very clearly and did a really good job. And then you followed up with like, wait, for a moment there, I said, don't say anymore, because you say, wait, you want to replace state, federal, and local with law enforcement? And you kind of like, I go,
you can see the look on my face.
Yeah,
like,
okay, stop.
What? Wait.
Because those three,
this is a gift.
those three thought they really accomplished something. I'm going, wait a minute. And I go, they're really going to go along with it. And then I think Carrie had a little thing where she wanted to say all law enforcement. And one of them had to say all law enforcement or something like that. And I go, okay, whatever. Let's take out all.
And
we'll really
law enforcement, just law enforcement. Yeah, got us down.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
That was great.
But that came with the calmness and the just talking to the attorney and saying, we pay you to make these decisions for us, and not have somebody like Quintero or Anderson write our legal policy. Like, so we're going to take somebody that obviously
I just want somebody to write something.
Didn't understand that law enforcement meant all law enforcement. Now writing legal policy.
Well, and that was the thing too, is when they came in and they go, oh, well, we have this amended or we have this alternate resolution, and it's my resolution. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest joke. And it totally violated Robert's Rules of Orders. The attorney was like so confused. He's like, no, it should have been presented the way you said it should have been presented. And then you amend it with all of these scratch marks that Trisha has. But she didn't want, the reason they did it that way is because, and the reason they didn't read it, because they didn't want people to know what they were scratching out. Remember I said, Jeremy, put it up on the thing? And he refused to do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it.
And so it was all this thing. They don't want the public to know what they're scratching out. That camera that's in that boardroom is extremely, extremely beneficial for us. It's like cops with like, they all think that body cops cams. Don't want body cams. Oh man, we want body cams. We love body cam.
I think that was one of the funniest things, just to go off target, just because you brought it up, is the Democrats think we demand that they have body cams. I have so many cases with Border Patrol, and every time I have opportunity, I have to talk to one of them. They said, man, I wish they would just buy us all body cams. Yeah,
it would be so much better. Because if you think about it too, like if you're chasing someone, or if just whatever's happening, sometimes like what you are seeing, if like you're looking in this direction or whatever, like if you're running, you're looking in this direction, it's catching all kinds of stuff that you're not actually picking up. It's like having two sets of eyes. It's great.
I'll be honest with you. I came from an era when we didn't have cameras, and when they first started talking about it, I was against it. Because I thought,
well, we all were, and then it saved us.
And then we go, wait a minute, this actually is pretty good. It's pretty good.
It was at the tail end that they were starting to implement body cam, but I just remember even the in-car cameras were so beneficial.
Absolutely.
So beneficial. And then, when you left you flip it around and you leave the car, you put a couple of suspects in the back together, they start talking. Maybe I gave away a secret then. I don't know. But it was actually it's very good. I mean, and even sometimes too, you'd have a suspect run in front of your car. Like if you're in somewhere and then they're sneaking. I mean, it just picks up so much. So the body cams aren't a bad thing. But let me tell you, when I got these cameras in this boardroom, Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman were so against it. I mean, and now we see why. And
that's why they don't want them in the classroom.
I mean, there would be nothing wrong with cameras in this classroom.
I thought I came so close to getting him in the classroom with some of the leadership at the time. It felt like it was close, but then
I guess the
has
union
happened.
stopping it, and I don't know why.
Why would you want to
stop
stop
it? Why would you want to stop it? Why wouldn't you want Why wouldn't you want cameras in the classroom?
I wonder why. Just again, another side note, one of the things that they said quite often is that, they're coming and asking for they're demanding papers. And I find it very ironic that if we go to Minnesota, is that after ICE was able to kind of change things over there, and the city police started actually trying to get rid of some of the people that were causing nonsense, that the rioters were putting up these little checkpoints. And then when the people were coming to the community, they would say, "We need to see your papers." They just, wait a minute, you just yelled for 2 months.
Oh wait, you put up a border? Wait, what did you do? I know, it's like literally like you can't make this up. You can't make this up. It's just like, it's the craziest thing ever. Like you see them and they're saying, but then too, but who, I want to know. And my whole thing would have been like, whatever, take down your stupid thing. Who's running these plates?
Yeah.
Who's giving you the plate?
Right.
Because that's illegal.
Yeah.
Cannot
absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we focused on the things I definitely want to focus on this part 2,
Right.
just to make sure that don't believe what you're seeing in the headlines, that somehow the lefties won.
Yeah.
The policy is in place. The policy is the thing that the employees have to follow.
Yes.
The resolution just supports what the policy says.
The resolution supports all law enforcement and cooperating with all law enforcement.
Yeah.
And then also too, what it also did is it showed that Marilyn, Tricia, and Carrie want politics in the classroom.
Yep.
And we're not sticking to the district curriculum. We are now violating the controversial issues policy. We're probably violating the critical race theory ban because you have 3 board members who are allowing all of these policies to be violated. And I'm going to be honest, I may have put that in knowing they would pull it out. But I think people need to see.
Yeah. They need. It has to be done sometimes. We see it done in Congress too,
yeah.
where they put things up and say, let's watch the Democrats vote it down.
Yep.
Like IDs for voting.
Yep.
They put that forward and watch all the Democrats, except for one in Congress, voted no on ID. Well, why don't they want ID?
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the thing is I did put that in there knowing, like, because obviously if we're going along with our board policy about no politics in the classroom and sticking to district curriculum, then there's no problem with that type of line in there. But Tricia, man, that was brilliant because she started just, they should be able to talk. Why can't they talk? Okay.
So you don't mind if kids come in there and have a counterpoint? It should be okay.
Well, apparently the teachers that have been in the classrooms, they've been telling kids, they've silenced these kids. And they said, no, my point, you can't argue with me. I'm right on this. Let's listen to this far left podcast. ICE is murderers, law enforcement's murderers, and you guys don't have anything to say about it. So then they come and complain to me. And I don't even know if I'm going to complain to the district anymore because I don't think anything's being done. No. Because if you have these 3 yahoos that are just like, oh, go ahead, talk. And, we don't respect anymore that, I don't know. This is just a lack of respect. It's lack of respect to law enforcement. It's lack of respect for parents. So you have these indoctrination camps, what we used to talk about. I mean, it sounds very it sounds wild to say that. But I mean, if you have, just from what people reported to me today, having conversations in their classroom, defaming me, they now feel it's a free-for-all. And that's exactly what these 3 want. They want these kids, me, Todd, and Sean had it stopped. It was a stop. It was zero tolerance. You teach these kids to read, write in the curriculum. And now look at where we're at. You got 3 board members removing stuff. And it's because they want you to talk politics to these kids.
And don't think it's not happening and think it's a fairy tale, because if you were to watch the school board meeting, if you haven't had a chance to watch the school board meeting, and the young kids, in their teens and some of them in their 20s that came from the campuses of colleges around us, is that there's no way a kid would choose socialism over a constitutional republic.
Right.
If they knew the truth.
Right.
They're being told a lie that it's something that's virtuous and fantastic and it makes things better when it's never worked ever in our history.
Right.
And so you got to understand that when you see them talking this way, that a teacher, an adult, union proxies are the ones who have fomented this lie to them, and they believe it. And they believe that ICE is currently going on to school campuses. They said it with such belief that this is happening, that the only way it comes to that point is if somebody has talked them into believing something that's not true at all. And I almost said not entirely. It's not true at all.
It's not true.
But they're saying it as if it's happening, as if they've witnessed it.
Right.
So,
and I also think too, like it's almost like a narcissistic type thing, because it hasn't worked. Communism and socialism has not worked in in the history of anywhere.
It worked for the ones at the top.
Yeah, it works
until
for
they're
them.
killed.
Yeah, it works for them until like it all goes to hell in a handbasket. But it's like, oh well, but it will work when we implement it.
Right.
Okay.
That's what that's what Maduro said.
Yeah, and look at how well it's going for Newsom. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to keep it narrow just on those
absolutely.
particular subjects, and
No,
I
it's good.
appreciate you coming.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me.
I appreciate your strength. Again, it has to be said, because the Yorba teacher is going to say it, whoever that teacher is, Spanish teacher that I've heard. That you and Todd did an amazing job in a very hostile environment. That it's easy for somebody to just you want to get pissed, and throw things. But it was the calmness and staying focused, and then in front of the cameras, in front of the people, you read it out loud to show them, just taking charge in that way. They never would have read it, and showed them that everything you said is not true.
Right.
All 50 of you that came up and spoke, it was all made up.
Yep.
And it was beautifully done. That to read it out loud, even though they wouldn't put it up, it still had its impact.
Well, and
and I just wanted to say, because Karen kept telling me to speak, I chose not to speak because I thought it was more powerful to hear. I knew what was going to happen because I could see who was there.
Right.
And then my calculations were that they were going to put on this narrative, and then you were going to have that ability to read that to them, because we had spoke a little bit earlier about what was going to happen. And I just didn't, it wouldn't have changed anything, because I would have got up and said, I would have turned around and said, what you guys are saying is not true. But it was better that you read it to them from the official file, as opposed to them, getting all mad at me and, just say, hissing me.
Right. Well, I think too, and I don't think that people know, and I think that that's another thing, is I don't think people know how to read the agendas, because I remember I was at the PYLUSD Yorba moms. They went out and said, oh yeah, the immigration policy is on there, but land resolution is not. I was like, and I was sitting there. So I kind of looked, somebody sent it to me. They go, your resolution to make it on? And I go, opened up, logged in the board agenda, and it was right there. And I was like, these people really don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think so. That's what people actually rely on, is that they don't think people will do the research themselves. So that's how these social media groups, you can work people into like a hysteria.
Yep.
And then you can get them to go do all these things. History has proven this time and time again. And even though we're not sending people out to be murdered and killed and all of these things, but you can make people go do things based off emotion. And that's what these groups do. Like people have to really realize and sit back, and do your own due diligence and find some facts, and then, work off the facts. Because if you just work off emotion, it never, sometimes, there's sometimes it does go okay, but I would say maybe 1% of the time. And it's not good in these instances. Yeah,
just to end on just a reminder, during campaigns, they talk about you creating chaos. And we've been talking about this a lot, that you're just simply trying to get back to education, and they create all the chaos and then blame the chaos on you.
Yeah.
Again, if you watch that school board meeting, you can see who was creating chaos. Chaos out of lies.
Yes.
And it's just very clear, and it supports everything that we've been telling you. The chaos is coming from them.
Yes.
And they create chaos through lying to the constituents, to the students. And you have leadership that doesn't lead and do the things that they're supposed to do. And this is what foments the chaos. Yep. And you and Todd, again, just demonstrated that fact, that you are trying to keep things in a place of normality for the most part, and bring education back to a school system that's completely broken. Right. I've seen that there's an uptick, at least on some of the comments, of people wanting to leave the school district.
Well, they actually, to the uptick, so it's hard to check. It's hard to check my phone. Like I look up some stuff on the internet and stuff on my phone, because my iPad has the board agenda on it. So sometimes if you see me on my phone, I'm looking up what socialist party this person screaming at me is from.
Yeah.
But when I got home, I have hundreds. Like there was one board meeting, I had 383 messages when I there's messages. But yeah, so in my inbox for Instagram, Facebook, and then also to just my normal text messages, people said we are ready to split.
Yeah,
we're ready to split. We're ready to leave. We need to split the districts because, obviously we want innovation, we want education, and these people just want chaos,
nonsense,
and nonsense. And I've sat there many times, and let me tell you, everybody saw the CRLA was on our closed session agenda the other night, and they are getting a huge following in our community. And that is because they push a classical education, Orange County classical, people are fleeing there because you do not have to pay for these charter schools. And they're getting very upset at the Orange County Board of Education for giving all these charters to these schools. But you know what? When this stuff happens in your classroom, I came on the board to stop it and to hopefully be able to say, keep the politics, keep all this, let's make public education great again. We should have made hats for that.
Yeah.
But the union didn't think that was making public education great again, was sticking to education. I mean, that this is it. They want the politics in the classroom. I mean, we have these 3 board members that are pushing for politics in the classroom again. So we lost 400 when Tricia and Marilyn and Carrie Buck took over. I imagine we're going to lose another 400 or 500. And I think that these charter schools and these private schools we're going to have a mass exodus, and they're going to get in there, especially with the CRLA. They're right here, in Yorba Linda. And anymore too, I've tried. We opened up Orange County or the Orange County School of Computer Science to try to give parents a more classical education and something that was different to bring the kids back in, and it worked. But these 3 tore it down. They've harassed Chernus, harassed Beth Fisher. They did everything they can. And so anymore, you sit here and me and Todd are just kind of sitting here going, we're just trying to salvage it. But if you can't get people to follow policy and procedure. I mean, did you see the study session? I know I'm going a little over. Did you see the study session before the meeting?
No.
They wanted a contract with the board. So you have Carrie and Marilyn and Tricia trying to say we need to follow board policy and procedure. The way that they got Chernus to be able to be placed on leave, you cannot direct staff outside of a board meeting. You have to do it as a board.
Yep.
So the next day, Marilyn Anderson directed the person in charge of all the law stuff. I don't want to say her name, but she went and she directed her to give their confidential files. And suddenly Marilyn Anderson just knew that a certain employee was filing a complaint against against Chernus. And so you have all of these things happening. And Marilyn says, give me these confidential files. And they did. That is a huge violation. And so they do all these things. They just do so many things to commit fraud on our district and to get these people out. And then they sit here, and when they finally get the superintendent in place that they want, it's oh, now we're going to play by the rules. Now we're not going to direct staff. Now we're going to follow policy and procedure. Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do that. And it's I'm sitting here going, first of all, the superintendent's our employee. I don't have to agree to anything. They don't want surprises in the board meetings. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
No surprises. No, that it's wait a second. What about the times all the surprises used to try to spring on Chernus and Gates and me and Todd and Sean? What about the time when you went behind the board's back when we were in our search firm looking for a new superintendent before we hired Chernus? And we were in that process. You tried to fire Makai Ali behind the board's back. You called Chicago and tried to fire him. So they went behind the board's back. We had votes in closed session to use certain companies, and they went behind the back and tried to get rid of consultants. They tried to do all kinds of things. I mean, really, if you look at it, Chernus hasn't had a chance. He didn't. No superintendent that we hired back then was going to have a chance because they were going to try to tank him to begin with. But now you're sitting here, oh, we're going to follow policy and procedure, and we're going to have an agreement. Oh, really?
No.
Is that what we're going to do? Sorry, or I'm not playing that game anymore.
All right.
And with that, my rant is over. You ranted the other day. I ranted right now.
All right, my friends. It's an amazing time.
Yeah, you're going to go get me a drink.
Calm
down, Leander. Calm
down. Pastor Jack Hibbs and Leander. I did the other. And Hedia, their interview is on YouTube and it's on the Calvary Chapel Chino Hills. I really think if you're a parent, you should watch it because it's important for you to understand what's happening in our world that also affects our kids in a school district. What she had to say about all that is really important for you to understand. So, well,
and I think too, I haven't watched it yet, but just talking with her, I think breaking all of this stuff down and the things that go on. I was a terrorist liaison officer right after 9/11 happened. And just the things I learned when I had to go, attend these, it was incredible. The things we were learning so close, after a terrorist attack. But now all of this information and all of the stuff that they've just been studying for years now, she's just a wealth of information. And I would just say, watch it because you will just be enlightened. You'll be scared, but you'll be enlightened and you can take some measures to keep your family and your kids safe.
Yeah. Watch. All right, Leandra. Okay. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me vent.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say at the end of their talk, Pastor Jack Hibbs just says, this is an amazing time to be alive. Yeah, everybody wants it. It is dark in some aspects, but I was telling Hetty today that, when they started this country, when they created this country and they were trying to create a constitution and deciding what type of government it was going to have and the fighting that went on and then the wars that went on and all that kind of stuff. That would have been amazing. I always think that would have been an amazing time to be around. Yeah. Is watching this country become a country. Right. And now we're in this place where the country is a good chance it's no longer going to be a country. Right. But it's an amazing time to be alive as we sit here and watch it all happen. But people like Leandra and Todd and Hedia just defending and fighting. That you can't, doesn't mean you don't fight, even though it doesn't look like promising. Yeah. It doesn't mean you stop. Yeah. That you just have faith in God, and then in the end, He wins. Yeah. And we know where we're going. So if something happens, and our days end, after we sign off, we're going to see Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so that's the important thing to remember, that it's an amazing time to be alive, to fight, and to put our kids first, and not give up. And thank you for not giving up.
No, I won't give up. And my friend Shari, when I first met her like 5 or 6 years ago, she used to always tell me as things were happening, but always like, you'd be, what in the world? And she'd be, what a time to be alive. And I was like, what is this chick talking about? Yeah. But I am starting to embrace that. Like the other day I've been studying, I said, wow, Mal, what a time to be alive. Yeah. And I said it to one of the kids and they were like, oh, okay. But I think they're even starting to believe it because you're just seeing just the strangest things happen. Like things that are just like you never would have thought when we were young. Yeah. Right.
I tell people all the time, COVID was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
I became, I'm not woke. Right. But woke up to the lies that we've been told for so many years. Yeah. And the people that I thought I could trust, I no longer can trust. And the things going on in the government that I just assumed they were always good. Yeah. And some of them are not so good. Yeah. But it's been amazing. So just in trials, have joy. And it makes you more resilient and enjoy the fight. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Todd. If you happen to see this, he doesn't watch anything.
Todd, he'll watch. He'll watch. He says he's doing taxes, but we know.
All right, my friends. We love you guys. God bless. Right, take care. Bye.